and then I gotta go, and I can just rewatch the video.
Okay, actually, it looks like it may already be recorded. There it goes. It's just recording is starting. So I'm going to re-explain this for the recording, and that is that I was absolutely positive I had posted an announcement about meeting tonight. And as I was logging in, I did not see it. I was looking for it and I could not find it. So obviously, I must have clicked on something. Maybe I sent it to the wrong place. I don't know what I did, but I really thought I had posted a suggestion that we meet tonight. And really, all that I was interested in doing in terms of meeting tonight is to make sure everybody, just give everybody an overview of where everything is located in the course and what the most important things are to pay attention to in terms of not missing things. So that's something I'm going to go ahead and do anyway, and I will record it. It's recording right now, and that way I can send it out. I will go ahead and post it for everyone. If you are not able to stay, that's fine because I will post it in the announcements for everybody to see later. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump into that. Let me make sure I don't have Blackboard open yet, but let me go ahead and open that up, and then I'm going to jump over there and start showing you some of the most important things. Oh, wait a minute. It looks like I did. Okay, I don't know, maybe I was looking in the wrong place earlier. It looks like in Blackboard. No, I didn't. I'm looking at this link I just sent out. Okay, so here we go. First off, while I am sharing this, let me tell you I am Rebecca Backfish, and if you have done the introduction to the class, if you've looked at that module, I went ahead and posted my introduction to you to start. And I'll go ahead and show you where that is. Here we are on the announcements page. My home page looks like this, and then announcements is the next tab down. Your screen may not look perfectly like mine. Let me enter this is student preview mode. You will not have this top part that says the bright yellowy orange. You won't have that. But this is this is the setting that I can do that tries to make it look as much like yours as possible. So this is the link I just sent out. We will continue to use this same link. So I will probably just leave it posted. Looks like somebody else is joining, so I'll let somebody else in real quick. All right, and this is the announcements page where you can just check, see if I've posted anything new. I was going to say most announcements, I go ahead and make it so that they also get sent an email, but I'm not sure that's as true. Let me give you an explanation of what I mean for that for this summer. For the summer, I went ahead, because there are a couple of times I'll be traveling a little bit, I went ahead and posted a bunch of reminders about due dates and tests and things like that ahead of time. When I post things ahead of time, and it's scheduled really, it's not posted, but I scheduled them so that they will come up when I want them to post automatically. But when I do that, it does not also go to your email. So you should continue to check the announcements page, this page that we're looking at right now, because if I send you if I had something to say to everybody right now, just like this one right here, I copied it to email. So it also should come to your email. But the ones that I schedule in advance, I'm not able to do that on. So definitely check out the announcements. Make sure that you're seeing any reminders that come up. Like for instance, this one. All right, so hopefully you've already gone to start here. You've gone through everything here. If you have not, I would strongly suggest going through everything step by step here. Okay, and here's the class introductions I was talking about. It's right down here. Okay, and that's where the first introduction is from me to you, so please go ahead and read that. But you'll also want to add your own introduction on there. Now, you can't start doing any of the homework without doing the orientation quiz. Hopefully, if you're watching this, you have already done your orientation quiz. You already know that, and you are done with it and are starting to do your homework, or have already started to do your homework because we had 2 assignments due yesterday. Now, the thing about the orientation quiz is, in order to do the orientation quiz, you have to have downloaded the Respondus monitor and the lockdown browser. It's important. The reason that they tied this to the orientation quiz, it's something that teachers, myself included, were begging them to do for a very important reason. And that is, you don't want to wait until the first test to realize you don't know how to do that, because we have to use the Respondus monitor and the lockdown browser on every test. And when you go in and you're ready to take a test, and sometimes, unfortunately, we wait to the last minute, you don't want to find out that you can't make the technology work. So you want to find out now that what you need to do to make that technology work. If you are having any problems getting the Respondus monitor and the lockdown browser working, I will show you a couple of places to look for information here. But my best advice other than that is to go ahead and call the student IT help desk. And I will, remind you how to do that. Actually, let me go ahead and just right here tell you now. When I want to look them up, I'll say, you can see where I was searching my, why does my camera not work? Student IT help desk. That's what I do. And boom, there it is. So you can do the same thing to get there. And that's if you have any problems with Blackboard, with anything related to technology. And that's a big issue in an online class. You want to make sure everything's working for you. So the Respondus monitor and the lockdown browser, it's super essential that you got them to work correctly for the orientation quiz. And I know that sounds like seems like an obstacle right there at the start. But if you've gotten through that obstacle, great. Now, if you used a different device for the orientation quiz than you're probably going to use going forward, that's something you're going to have to do again. So remembering what you did to make the Respondus monitor and lockdown browser work, that's important. Also, you cannot do this on a tablet. You cannot take the tests for this class on a tablet. It has to be on a desktop or laptop computer. So that said, go ahead and go through all of this. But other than that, the most important thing I want to show you is our calendar. If you go over here and click on calendar, it will come up. Notice it downloaded down here. Or let's go back. I'm going to go back. The other place you can see it is right here. There are a few different places that you can click on it. Okay, and it opens as a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet. This is our calendar for the whole semester, and it tells you when everything is due for the whole semester. So you don't have to wait to know when things are due. You know right now. Now, incidentally, everything except the final exam can be done ahead of time. So you can go ahead and start working on the first assignment. It's not opening for some reason. Let's see. I think I'm trying to open too many things at once. But you could go ahead and start working on the first assignment and then just go forward from there and just keep working. Okay, so you can go all the way up to the final exam, and you have to take the final exam in that 3-day period when it's open. I'm not really sure why this is not opening. I'm sorry. Let's come up here and see if it'll come. There we go. All right, I guess maybe Office. I just had to, this is my, I also teach high school, and this is the laptop that my high school supplies to me. And I just had to have it re-imaged. So not everything, I guess, is back up and fully running. There you go. I'll worry about that later if they'll let me go on. Okay. There we are. Now, this is the calendar, as I said, for the whole semester. All the dates are on here. Notice that the basic idea here is that you have homework generally due on Wednesday or Friday. I'm looking to see if I can, let's go ahead and minimize this so you can see it a little better. Okay, Wednesday and Friday is when most of your homeworks are due. There's one on the Monday. Nothing is due on a weekend. But you might have homework due on a Wednesday, on a Friday, or on a Monday. Our tests close on the dates that you see here. Okay, notice there's not a Unit 3 test. There are 2 assignments here for Unit 3, but then they're just included in the midterm in addition to information about units 1 and 2. So the midterm covers everything in front of this, everything above that, including unit 3, but unit 3 does not have its own test. And then we have unit 4 and unit 5, and there is some more unit 6 material here, which is included on the final exam. So that's where that's everything you need to know about our timeline is right here. This, I do not expect this to change at all. I expect this to stay exactly what you see here, except that I might, this very first assignment, I might go ahead, the 2 that were due yesterday, and extend those. In fact, I probably will go ahead and do that. Extend those to make them do, let's see. Let's go with, I need to think about that a little bit more, but probably Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, but possibly Sunday. But we'll look at that, and I will send out a message about that. So if you did not get these done on time, fear not. This is your one time only chance that I will extend a homework assignment while everybody's still getting used to the course, and you can go in and get those done. After that, I will not be extending any homework assignments. If there's a situation where something like you're in the hospital happens, perhaps in a case like that, maybe. But other than that, if it's I forgot to do it, if it's just that I was really busy, that kind of thing, I'm not going to be extending any homework assignments for that. And a lot of those policies are talked about in the instructor policies that is part of what I showed you back here that you are supposed to look at here. There we go. So in the syllabus folder and the pacing guide. So that's where you find the policies, procedures, and schedules. Now, down here, that's talking about this syllabus. In this document, this is the document I'm talking about. It has policies. It has the late work policy. It has information about how things work on tests. Oh my goodness, this is going to be a problem every time, isn't it? It shows you the grade breakdown. It also shows you, let's see. And this is just sort of some information about tests and assignments. But here we go, lockdown browser and respondus monitor. If you're having any trouble, I would read this first, okay? But also you do want to read about the policy and how things are supposed to work right in here. Another thing to be aware of, and that goes on down here as a matter of fact as well. That includes the policy for submitting scratch work is important to understand before the test. You have to submit your scratch work with each test. Let's see. All of this is really good information. So you want to take the time to read this. Let's see. If a student loses internet connection, they may re-enter the test up until time runs out. So that's a question that I get a lot is the test kicked me out, my laptop died, something like that happened, what do I do? Well, as soon as you're able to get back in, get back in. This is one reason, and we say it quite a few times, this is one reason why we don't want to wait till the last minute to do a test or quiz. You don't want to run out of time because you ran into midnight. You want to make sure that you have plenty of time. So going back to that calendar, another thing I need to say about the calendar is, please be aware that for the Unit 1 test, Unit 2 test, the midterm, Unit 4 test, Unit 5, all these tests, don't think of this as test day. It's not saying you should take your test on Monday, June 5th. That's how a lot of students perceive this. And I understand why. I do understand that tendency. But please make sure you're aware. I'm not sure. Am I sharing still? I am, right? All right. I don't think it's sharing that tab, is it? Let me unshare and go back to that. I feel like, and y'all are welcome to let me know if that's what maybe you're saying in the chat. Yes, I can't see anything. Sorry. So let me go ahead and share the correct tab. Let me see. I'm trying to share my entire screen. There is what I'm trying to share. There we go. And that way, whatever I see, you see. So here we go. So this is the course calendar, and this is what it looked like when I zoomed out a little bit. Okay, so this is what you really want to, I would print it. I would put it, if you keep a personal calendar, put these dates on there. If you do a Google Calendar, put reminders on here. Use these dates as much as you possibly can. Use whatever reminders you can. Alarms on your phone, calendars, other people help, other members of your family to help you remember what's due when. But this is your game plan. This is your plan for the whole semester. So everything that needs to happen, you can see right here. Now, again, what I was talking about is the ones that are teal or kind of greenish, I guess, and the ones that are orange, these are tests. You've got your unit tests that are green and teal, and the orange are the final exam and the midterm. Those are on the calendar, and what you see on the calendar is the day that it closes. So in other words, don't think of the Unit 1 test as happening on Monday, June 5th. Think of the Unit 1 test as happening, let's see, how about any of this time up until Monday, June 5th? You could take the Unit 1 test today. You could take it tomorrow. You could take it next Thursday. You could take it right after you finish this last homework here, after you submit it. Again, you don't have to wait till then to submit that homework either, though. You could finish it all quickly. And I realize that's not always an option. We have jobs, we have lives, and we got to spend some time learning the material. But if you're able to work ahead, it's a good practice, because it's better if you're not waiting until the day that it closes to attempt the test. Notice they close very often on a Monday. I would definitely try to take advantage of the weekend if you're able to. But again, you could even do the test here on Thursday, the previous Thursday, or the previous Tuesday. Just try to get, as I said, it's very tempting to think of this as test day, but try really hard not to let yourself do that, because then it makes it just easier for us to wait until the last minute. Try to think of that as the last possible minute that you can take the test. I can take the test on that day if everything else goes wrong and I don't find any other time until then. So that's your last option. And then the test is closed. Tests do not reopen. Okay, so the Unit 2 test, you can take any of this shaded area. You could take the Unit 2 test. You could take it any of those days. It's not something that happens on Monday, June 12th. It's something that closes on Monday, June 12th. Okay, so sometimes I'm saying this partly because sometimes I'll get emails from students, and most students have no problem with following the deadlines. And I'm not really speaking to that. I'm speaking to the problems that sometimes crop up. And I'll get emails that say, such and such happened on test day. I couldn't do the test because this is what happened on the test day. Well, these 3 weeks are the test day. This is when the desk closes. And since life does happen and things do come up, try not to wait until the very last day it's open to get a test done. Try really hard to get as many of the tests or quizzes done, or tests, or excuse me, midterm or final or any homeworks done before they are due. The due date is not, the day to do it. It's the day to be done with it, to have already done it. All right, so that's probably the most important thing for you to look at in Blackboard is the calendar. Now, where are you going to do most of your work? If you come back over here to lessons, okay, if you scroll down, you see these lessons 1 through 6. This is where you're going to do most of your work. Now, you can access the assignments here. I like to go through here, though. So we are in Unit 1. So again, this was me clicking on lessons and then lesson 1, Unit 1. When I click on that, the first part is just the objectives. Then this is another place to access your homeworks. And then you're using these next 3 things to do your learning of the material. Okay, you have a set of lecture videos, you have a set of blank lecture notes, and you have a set of completed lecture notes. So let's look at that real quick. Like, for instance, for the first lesson, the first homework is 1-1. Here are the blank notes for 1-1. Now, you may want to, I encourage you to consider printing these out, the blank ones, and then taking these and going to the video that goes with that lesson and watching the video. There's actually 3 videos because they run out of time. And they are, notice please, that these videos are using, when they come up, there we go. They're using those same notes. So he's completing those notes as part of that video. So if you have the blank set of notes printed, you can go ahead and complete them with him. That's not necessarily something you have to do, but it's really a good suggestion. All right. And then let's say that you missed part of it, or you wanted to go back and check it, or you just want to look at it at a glance. Here are the completed ones. In other words, this is the notes, what they look like after he has filled them in that video. So this is the result of the video. So if you start a section and you're like, I'm pretty sure I remember how to do everything in this section, the completed notes might be a good place to look to decide that. If you're thinking, is there anything in this section I really need to go over? Look at the completed notes and see if any of it looks unfamiliar. Or look at the blank notes and see if you think you understand how to do all of that. But these are where you find out. These are where you get your lessons. So the lessons are the lecture videos. That's where you find out how to do things. Okay. Now let me tell you a common mistake people make. I have heard from students more than once, and I will tell you, usually it's students who are struggling. If I will say, have you been watching the videos? And they will say no. Okay. Now, you might be wondering at this point, I don't know how much you've done. You might be wondering, how could they be doing anything without watching the videos? Well, when you go to the homework, we do all our homework in a program called My Lab. See, that's why it says My Lab here. Okay, that's going to come into play in a second. So everything we do here, the tests and the homework, is in My Lab. My Lab is embedded for us, for the math department, in Blackboard. Okay, so there's My Lab, and then it's inside of Blackboard. The reason I'm making a big deal out of this is there's 2 different places to see your grades, and we'll come back to that and talk about where to look. When you go here and you go to do a homework assignment, by the way, these ones with the P, totally optional. Those are just to review some thoughts. Now, I haven't done it in here, so those are closed. So let's say I'm going to do this homework assignment. Okay, close. And let me keep going. I don't know if it will, because I'm in student view. It might let me because there's a instructor view where I can get past that. So let me go ahead and stop sharing for a second, go into instructor view and show you that. It still may not let me. It's kind of weird. Sometimes it will let me go past the orientation quiz, and sometimes it won't. And I don't really know why. Sometimes it doesn't. So I'm just clicking through, trying to get right back where I was showing you. What I want to talk to you about, and I'd love to show you instead of just talking to you about it. There we go. Okay. It is working for me. So let me show you what it looks like when I go to do the homework. Okay, so going to do the homework, here are my questions for my homework. There's 10 questions. I get it. When you're trying to do the homework, you want to get the grade. You want to get it done off your plate so that you can move on to other things and get the grade. But here's what people do that trips you up in the long run. Okay. Let's say I don't know how to do this problem. And let's say, let me see if I can I'm going to randomly pick a number and hope it's the wrong answer. Check answer. Okay, it's wrong. Good, because that's what I want to show you is what happens when it's wrong. Let's see if I can move this. Okay, now I've gotten it wrong. I can click on Help Me Solve This, and it will walk me through the steps. It'll say, what is the first step? And I have to choose, what is my first step? And then it'll take me to the next step. Okay, it can also, I also have down here, View an Example. It'll give me a very similar problem, and then it will walk me step through step, clicking continue, through what I need to pay attention to and how to do it. Okay, and then get more help. There's sometimes a video that you can pull up, and that's awesome. But let me warn you about this. These are great tools, and I'm not telling you not to use them. But I am telling you this. A lot of times people will go straight to the homework and they'll do the homework without watching the lesson, and they'll just help me solve this all the way through a question and view an example all the way through. And they'll do it all using these, I don't know, aids, crutches to some extent. That's the concern, is you don't want to use these as a crutch and not know how to do it without them, because you do not have help me solve this or view an example on the test. So it can be totally possible to do well on the homework and then get to the test and not know how to do the problems because you didn't really do them yourself to begin with. You let the program help you through them. So let me just caution you about that. Be very careful about that. Consider watching the videos first and looking at the notes. But also, as you're doing the homework, go ahead and use Help Me Solve This and view an example. That's awesome. Feel free to do that. But then also, let's see. Let's see if I Help Me Solve This. Let's just go through this one with Help Me Solve This. Let's go with that. And yes, there are grouping symbols, there are parentheses, and expand the grouping symbols. They're basically asking me to distribute here. And then I'm going to collect my X's on one side and my variables on the other. Now this is, or my numbers on the other. This one's a little weird because we have 5x and 5x. So when I subtract 5x from both sides, I get 0 x's. And when I subtract 15 from both sides to move the numbers over to the right, I get negative 12. So basically what this is 0 equals negative 12. There's no equation, there's no answers to that. There's no x values that make that work. That's what a solution is. It's an x value that makes this true. Okay, so that means no value of x can satisfy this, which tells me that I will say the solution set is the empty set. That's what the symbol is the empty set. Okay, so then it suggests this is an inconsistent equation. It's an equation that's not true for even one number. Good job. What's it going to let me do? All right, well, I was hoping to show you. Sometimes, maybe if I just have to get it wrong, but sometimes what you'll see is work a similar problem or find a similar question, answer a similar question. If you see that, use that to help you make sure that you understood what you were doing, is work a similar question. Also, you can use that when you go back in after the homework is due, after homework has been turned in. So let's look at, now this one actually, I didn't do anything, so that might make it hard. Yeah, I haven't worked any assignments, but after you have done some assignments, if you go into the MyLab gradebook, okay, now notice, where is it? Maybe it's under Start Here. Hang on, sorry about that. I can't remember where it is, but it's in here somewhere. Oh, no, it's not there. Let me check there again. There it is. After we click My Assignments and Discussions. Then right down here, the MyLab gradebook. This is where you can see anything that you've completed. So if you've done a homework assignment, it'll come up here, and next to it, it will say review. It'll have a blue review word that's a live link that'll let you go back in there and look at the problems again and try similar problems. So that can be a really good resource for reviewing. Okay. So I'm stopping sharing for just a second. Thought I got a message. Does not look like it. Okay. So let's see. Is there anything I can answer questions on? I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's super important for me to show to you right from the start. But while I'm thinking about that, you can let me know if you have questions. One more thing, let me show you right, just because I just saw it. Another place to get information about Respondus Monitor and Lockdown Browser. Again, when we go to lessons, my assignments and discussions, right there is the third thing down. Underneath homework, quizzes and tests, right there. Information about Pearson Lockdown Browser and Respondus Monitor. Notice that right below there is submit my scratch work. Oh, I remember. I wanted to mention, and there's the discussion assignments. Discussion assignments are due at the same time as each test. If you look at your calendar, on the test, it says discussion 1 and extra credit. We probably will not have any extra credit assignments. That's just saying if we did have any in Unit 1, that's when they would be due. So discussion 1 due with Unit 1 test, discussion 2 due with Unit 2 test, and so on. Okay, so those are the discussion assignments right here. Under the MyLab math gradebook, when I said that's where you want to go to see your grades for the homework, if you want to review anything, if you want to go back into an assignment and see if you can try more problems similar to the ones you did, there's two places that you can access a gradebook here. This is the one from MyLab, the math program that we use, okay? Another place is your Blackboard. So you see grades for all of your classes in Blackboard. The MyLab grades update to the Blackboard, but they don't always do it immediately. So let's say, for instance, you are in the middle of a homework assignment, and you're in the middle of the homework assignment, and all of a sudden Blackboard decides to reach over and pull out the current grades out of MyLab. Okay? If you're only 30% of the way through the assignment, then even if you've gotten every question right, then it looks like you have a 30 on that assignment. So all of a sudden Blackboard says you have a 30 on that homework assignment. That's a totally temporary thing. So Blackboard updates periodically, but if you see a grade in there that's like, wait, that doesn't match the grade that I got on that homework assignment, or that doesn't match what I'm seeing, that's okay. That just means Blackboard hasn't fully updated yet. So wait maybe a day and check again. And I bet you the grade in Blackboard's going to match the grade in the MyLabs. But when in doubt, this is where to look. Okay, the grades in here are the ones that you have done in the MyLab program. And so whatever's in here is your accurate grade. All right, I'm looking to see if anybody has any questions in the comment section, or anybody would like to speak and have questions.
Yes, I have a question.
Sure.
So for the discussion for every other courses, just say for instance history. So and you have a discussion, for example, chapter 1, they give you like what they want you to talk about, and the students now reply, and also maybe a discussion. So for the mathematics, I don't know how this works out for the discussion. What are we expected to do for the discussion?
Same way. Same exact thing. It's just a thread. So that's what I was talking about. If you go to lessons and my assignments and discussions, that's the discussion assignments, and you open it and it tells you this is the thread. So this is your first discussion thread, and you just click on this, and it just tells you what they want you to talk about. They are very simple. They are very simple discussions. What they are really meant to do is help you think about what you're doing in terms of your study skills and where to get help within, where to get help with math problems and things like that. And it's done as a discussion so that everybody can read everyone else's suggestions. So for the first one, it's the maths website repository. There are a lot of math websites out there that help you work problems or help you with tips and tricks or formulas or examples or videos or stuff like that. And this is just asking you to talk about one and why you like it. It does want you to choose one that none of your peers have talked about. So it's a good idea to do it early before everybody's picked all the good ones. But then going back and looking in at this, you can get a lot of ideas of where you might be able to get help for a problem that you didn't know about. So that's the kind of thing that your discussion questions are. Really good question.
Thank you so much.
Anything? You are very welcome. Anything else I can answer right now? Let me just say again, the main things I wanted to make sure you guys saw here were make sure, or the main ideas I wanted to get across to you. Number one, make sure that you have a good setup in terms of computer or laptop that you know you can use for your tests and that you have downloaded the Respondus monitor and the lockdown browser. And if you had any problems, don't just say, oh, well, I got it done, I don't worry about that. Make sure you clarify those before the Unit 1 test, because that's the reason we want you to look at those programs now, is to make sure you're going to be able to get them working just fine on the Unit 1 test and not have any stress about that when you're trying to take a test. Number two is make sure you use that calendar. Look at the calendar over and over again. I have set up some reminders, like I said, but let me clarify this, and I'm going to share that screen again. Let me clarify. I am not implying that I'm going to remind you every time something is due. I am definitely not saying that. Here is when things are due. So you need to know from this calendar when things are due, and you need to look at it frequently and check back and give yourself reminders, because folks, life happens. We get involved in other things. Online classes can be very challenging in terms of remembering that it's going on and that you might have work to do. It really can be very easy to forget about an online class. So because of that, start taking steps now to ensure that you're not going to forget you have an assignment due on these dates, because I'm not guaranteeing that I'll remind you every time. And I won't be opening assignments back up just because you forgot to do them. So that's part of what doing an online class is about, is making sure that you figure out for yourself what works for you in terms of scheduling and reminding yourself and organization. And this calendar is a very big part of that. So be aware. You know, sometimes I'll get an email near the end of the semester when people have seen this calendar the whole time and said, I didn't know we had anything due Friday. Well, like let's suppose you emailed me on July 10th and said, I didn't know we had anything due Friday. Well, what's going through my mind is you should have known that since May 22nd or 25th when we talked about it. So you know the deadlines for the whole course right now. That's probably the most important thing for you to know, is that they're all right here and can be accessed. And it's up to you if you need help on anything to get that ahead of the deadline. You can reach out to me anytime. We're going to have weekly meetings. I think they're probably going to be, I'm leaning toward Monday evenings from what I'm seeing. Keep in mind, I know that most people are not going to be able to come every time. That's totally okay. And that's why I record the sessions. So if you cannot come, or even aren't sure if you're going to be able to, if you have a question that you want me to include in that video, go ahead and tell me. I'd like you to work some like this. You know, could you work some problems like number 3 in homework 1-2 or 1-4 or whatever? Because that way the video that I'll be sharing with you has examples that are exactly what you need. But you don't only have to wait for those sessions to ask me that type of question. You can ask me any time of the week. And sometimes I can answer you just real quickly. Sometimes I can make you a little video. But I'm happy to help you in any way that I can whenever you have questions. So just feel free to keep those lines of communication open. That's the other part of being in an online class. Number one is scheduling and you know, just work habits and keeping up with the organization of it. And number two is communication. You really have to make sure we have open lines of communication, and you feel free to ask me when you have questions or when you're not sure about something. I would so much rather you ask me something every single day than tell me, well, I didn't turn that in because I didn't know blah, blah, blah. I wasn't sure about how to do this, or I didn't know whether you wanted me to do this or whatever. Just ask. If you have any questions, there are no stupid questions. You can ask me 5 questions a day, and I will be perfectly fine with that. And I think that's all I really have to share with you. Or anything you would like to share with me or ask me about? We really don't use a book, Kishma. It's everything is in, like all of your notes are embedded in the program. You are able to purchase a book if you want to. It tells you what the book is in the very first welcome announcement. It told you what the book is, but I would not necessarily. That's really, I mean, I'm not going to advise against it, but I don't know how much you would consider that a good investment. I don't know that you're going to feel like you would need it, because everything is embedded in the online class. You've got your notes, you've got the blank notes, you've got the completed notes, you've got the videos on all of those lessons, and then you've got the homework, all of it embedded in electronically. So you probably will not find that you need the book. If you want to purchase the book, go back to the very first welcome announcement for the class, and you will see, let's see. I think I mentioned at the beginning, I'm having trouble seeing some of my old announcements. I know for sure that posted, because that's an automatic one posted by the entire math department. But let me see if I can show you. It's the only colorful one too. It's a colorful announcement that has the picture of the book on the front. If you really want to find out more about that and you cannot find it yourself, there you go. I'm glad you remember it. Yeah, feel free to email me and I'll go looking for that. If I just can't access it right now. I'm not sure if maybe they set a date on it and it turned off. I'm not sure. All right, well, I will leave you to it, and I'm going to attach this video to an announcement and share it with the rest of the class. And for right now, I think I will go ahead and suggest that we meet on Monday night. That might change going forward. I'm still getting some responses from people, but I'm going to suggest Monday at 7 for our next session. And I will definitely share about that in advance of that, and share a link too. So if you haven't heard back about that and you're wondering, you're thinking, I thought she was going to post, feel free to ask me. Always, reminders are always welcome. Again, just feel free to ask me anything, anytime. Thanks so much for coming tonight, though. And I will see you later.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.